You know that feeling when someone criticizes you? That sting in your chest, that voice in your head that says, maybe they're right, maybe I'm not good enough. Yeah, we've all been there. But here's the truth. Criticism isn't the problem. The way you react to it is. Some people let criticism shut them down. They start doubting themselves, overthinking, playing it safe. Others, they use it as fuel. They take the hit, shake it off, and keep going. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. How to handle criticism without letting it derail you. And more importantly, how to stay locked in on your goals no matter what. Because if you're serious about doing something great, if you're chasing a dream, if you're stepping outside your comfort zone, guess what? Criticism is part of the deal. So let's talk about how to stop fearing it and start using it to your advantage. Criticism is something everyone faces at some point, especially those who dare to step outside their comfort zone and pursue something meaningful. It's easy to think that criticism is a sign that you're doing something wrong, but in reality, it's often a sign that you're doing something right. The moment you put yourself out there, whether it's starting a business, sharing your work, voicing an opinion, or chasing a dream, you invite opinions. Some will be positive, some negative, and some downright brutal. But the truth is, you can't avoid it. The only way to never be criticized is to do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. And that's not an option. The mistake most people make is assuming that criticism is a reflection of their worth. It's not. Criticism is often more about the person giving it than the person receiving it. Some people criticize because they genuinely want to help. Others do it out of jealousy, insecurity, or the need to tear others down to feel better about themselves. Either way, if you take every criticism personally, you're handing control of your confidence and motivation over to someone else. And let's be real, that's a dangerous game. One of the most powerful mindset shifts you can make is accepting that criticism is inevitable. It's not a sign to stop. It's not a sign to shrink yourself or play small. It's actually proof that you're in the game. Think about it. Have you ever seen someone criticize a person who isn't doing anything? Probably not. The ones who get the most criticism are the ones making moves. Every successful person, from athletes to entrepreneurs to artists, has dealt with their fair share of doubters, haters, and harsh feedback. The difference? They didn't let it stop them. Once you embrace the fact that criticism is unavoidable, you start to see it differently. Instead of being surprised or hurt by it, you expect it. You recognize that it's part of the process. Imagine stepping into a boxing ring and acting shocked when you get hit. That wouldn't make sense, right? Well, the same goes for putting yourself out there in life. The moment you step into the arena, whether that's launching a project, speaking your truth, or chasing a goal, you have to be ready to take some punches. And when you expect them, they don't knock you down as easily. The key is not letting the fear of criticism hold you back. So many people hesitate to take action because they're worried about what others will say. They want to start a YouTube channel but fear negative comments. They dream of launching a business but worry about failing in front of others. They have an idea but keep it to themselves because they don't want to be judged. But here's the truth. Avoiding criticism won't protect you, it will only keep you stuck. The people who criticize aren't the ones living your life. They're not the ones chasing your dreams. They're not the ones doing the work. So why give their opinions so much power? Instead of running from criticism, use it as a filter. Some feedback is valuable. It can help you grow, improve, and refine your skills. But not all criticism deserves your attention. The challenge is learning to separate the feedback that helps you from the noise that distracts you. When you expect criticism, you can approach it with a clear mind instead of reacting emotionally. You can ask yourself, is this useful? If yes, take the lesson. If not, let it go and keep moving. At the end of the day, the fear of criticism is often worse than the criticism itself. Most of the time, the worst-case scenario we imagine in our heads never even happens. And even when it does, we survive it, we learn from it, we get stronger. But if we let the fear of criticism dictate our actions, we end up playing it safe, staying small, and living a life that doesn't fully reflect who we are or what we're capable of. So if you take one thing away, let it be this: criticism isn't a stop sign, it's a milestone. It means you're doing something that matters. It means you're pushing boundaries. It means you're stepping into the kind of life that most people are too afraid to chase. And if that's the price of living fully, then it's a price worth paying. Not all criticism is created equal. Some feedback is meant to help you grow, while other criticism is simply noise meant to bring you down. The challenge is learning to tell the difference between constructive and destructive criticism so that you can take what's useful and ignore what isn't. Too many people treat all criticism the same way, letting every negative comment affect them, whether it's valid or not. But if you want to stay focused and move forward, you have to develop the ability to filter the feedback you receive. Constructive criticism comes from people who genuinely want to see you improve. It may not always be easy to hear, but it's given with the intent to help. Think about a coach who points out your mistakes so you can perform better, or a mentor who challenges your approach to push you toward growth. This kind of criticism is rooted in experience, wisdom, and a desire to see you succeed. It may call out your weaknesses, but it also offers solutions, suggestions, or encouragement. It's the kind of feedback that, when you step back and reflect, actually makes you better. Destructive criticism, on the other hand, is not about helping you, it's about tearing you down. It's often vague, personal, and negative without offering any real value. This kind of criticism comes from people who don't necessarily have your best interests at heart. Sometimes it's rooted in jealousy, insecurity, or the critic's own frustrations with their life. Other times, it's simply meant to discourage or control you. When someone says, "That idea is stupid," or "on you'll never make it," without any reasoning or advice, that's destructive criticism. It's designed to make you doubt yourself rather than improve. One of the biggest mistakes people make is taking destructive criticism too seriously. The natural reaction when someone criticizes you is to assume they might be right. Doubt creeps in and suddenly you start questioning yourself. But before you let any criticism affect your confidence, ask yourself, who is this person? If it's someone who has experience in your field, whose opinion you respect, or who has a track record of success, then maybe there's something to learn from their feedback. But if it's coming from someone who has never done what you're trying to do, who has no credibility, or who seems to criticize everyone, their opinion probably isn't worth your energy. It's also important to look at the way the criticism is delivered. Constructive criticism is specific and focuses on the work, not the person. Someone giving you useful feedback might say, "Your presentation was strong, but your delivery could be more engaging if you varied your tone." That's actionable advice. Destructive criticism, on the other hand, is often vague, harsh, or personal, something like, "You're just bad at speaking." One gives you a path to improvement, the other only serves to discourage. Another way to identify the difference between constructive and destructive criticism is to consider the emotional impact. Constructive criticism may be tough to hear, but it usually leaves you feeling motivated to do better. Destructive criticism, however, leaves you feeling defeated, insecure, or unsure of yourself. If feedback makes you feel completely hopeless rather than challenged in a productive way, chances are it's not meant to help you. That's why learning to filter criticism is one of the most important skills you can develop. If you listen to every negative comment, you'll never move forward. But if you ignore every piece of feedback, you'll never grow. The key is knowing when to listen and when to let it go. When you receive criticism, pause before reacting emotionally. Ask yourself, is this coming from someone I respect? Is there truth in what they're saying? Can I use this to improve? If the answer is yes, take the lesson and apply it. If not, remind yourself that not all opinions matter. Criticism will always be part of the journey, but how you handle it determines whether it helps or hinders you. The most successful people in the world aren't immune to criticism. They've just learned how to separate the useful from the useless. They don't let baseless negativity stop them, and they don't take advice from people who have never been in their shoes. Instead, they focus on growth, resilience, and staying committed to their goals, no matter what others say. Criticism can either break you or build you. It all depends on how you choose to see it. Most people view criticism as an attack, something to avoid or defend against. But what if you flipped the script? What if, instead of seeing criticism as something negative, you saw it as fuel for growth? The reality is that no one gets better without feedback, and sometimes the toughest criticism holds the key to your biggest breakthroughs. It's not about avoiding criticism, it's about learning how to use it to your advantage. The first step to reframing criticism is shifting your mindset. Instead of immediately feeling hurt, embarrassed, or defensive, remind yourself that criticism, when used correctly, is a tool for improvement. The most successful people in the world don't run from feedback, they seek it out. They understand that every piece of criticism, whether delivered kindly or harshly, is an opportunity to reflect, adjust, and grow. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is the way they respond. One person hears a negative comment and gives up, another hears the same comment and uses it as motivation to get better. Think about athletes. They watch their game footage, not to dwell on mistakes, but to study what they need to improve. They don't take coaching as a personal attack. They see it as essential to reaching their full potential. That same mentality applies to any area of life. If you want to improve at something, whether it's a skill, a business, or personal growth, you have to be willing to hear what isn't working. That's how you refine your approach and move forward stronger. Of course, not all criticism is easy to hear, and not all of it is delivered well. Sometimes it's harsh, unfair, or even mean-spirited, but even in those moments, you can extract something useful. Instead of reacting emotionally, ask yourself, is there any truth in this? If there is, take the lesson and leave the negativity behind. If there isn't, then it's just noise, and you can move on without letting it affect you. The key is to focus on what serves you. If a piece of feedback helps you improve, it's valuable. If it only serves to bring you down with no real direction for growth, it's not worth your attention. Another way to reframe criticism is to turn it into motivation. Some of the most successful people in history were fueled by criticism. They were told they weren't good enough, weren't talented enough, or would never make it. Instead of accepting that as fact, they used it as proof that they needed to work harder, refine their skills, and prove their doubters wrong. If someone tells you that you're not capable of achieving something, you have two choices. You can believe them, or you can let that criticism light a fire inside you. When you choose the second option, criticism stops being a roadblock and becomes a driving force. It's also important to remember that criticism means you're doing something that matters. The only people who never get criticized are the ones who never take risks. The moment you step outside your comfort zone, the moment you start creating, building, or leading, you invite opinions. That's part of the game. If you're receiving criticism, it means you're in motion, it means you're doing something worth talking about, and that's a good thing. The best way to handle criticism is to stay focused on your bigger goal. If you let every negative comment knock you off track, you'll never get where you want to go. But if you keep your eyes on your vision and see criticism as a natural part of growth, nothing can stop you. Every challenge, every piece of feedback, whether positive or negative, is just another stepping stone on the path to success. Criticism is inevitable, but your reaction to it is a choice. You can let it hold you back, or you can let it push you forward. The people who achieve great things aren't the ones who never face criticism. They're the ones who learn how to turn it into fuel. So the next time you're faced with criticism, don't shrink, don't run. Take what's useful, leave the rest, and keep moving forward. When you have a big goal, distractions, doubts, and criticism will always try to pull you off track. One of the biggest challenges people face isn't a lack of talent or effort. It's the ability to stay focused despite external negativity. When you're working towards something meaningful, criticism is inevitable. People will question your choices, doubt your abilities, and sometimes even try to discourage you. The key to success isn't avoiding criticism, it's staying locked in on your vision no matter what. Too many people let outside opinions dictate their actions. They start a project, get excited, and put in the work. But the moment someone criticizes them, they start second-guessing everything. Suddenly, that initial confidence turns into hesitation. They slow down, change their approach to please others, or worst of all, quit altogether. This is what happens when you give criticism too much power. It shifts your focus away from your goal and onto what others think. And the moment you start living for approval instead of progress, you lose momentum. Staying focused requires clarity. You need to know exactly what you're working toward and why it matters to you. When your vision is strong, criticism doesn't shake you as easily. If someone tells you that your idea is bad or your goal is unrealistic, but you have a deep, unshakable belief in what you're doing, their words won't carry weight. The problem isn't the criticism itself, it's when you don't have a strong enough reason to keep going despite it. That's why before you start any big journey, you need to ask yourself, why is this important to me? When your why is powerful, your focus becomes unbreakable. Another crucial part of staying focused is learning to control your emotional response to criticism. It's natural to feel defensive when someone questions your abilities, but reacting emotionally only wastes energy that could be used to move forward. Instead of dwelling on negative comments, redirect that energy into your work. The best response to criticism isn't arguing or explaining yourself, it's proving yourself through action. Let your progress speak louder than someone else's doubts. Criticism often comes from people who don't understand your vision. They might not see the bigger picture, or they may be projecting their own fears onto you. If you listen to everyone who tells you something isn't possible, you'll never achieve anything great. The people who change the world, the innovators, the leaders, they all face criticism. They were told they were crazy, unrealistic, or destined to fail. But they didn't let that noise distract them. They stayed focused, kept working, and eventually proved their critics wrong. One way to maintain focus is to limit the voices you listen to. Not all feedback deserves your attention. Surround yourself with people who encourage your growth rather than those who try to hold you back. Seek advice from those who have been where you want to go, not from those who have never taken risks themselves. If you allow negativity to dominate your mindset, it will cloud your vision. But when you choose to tune out the distractions and focus on your progress, you stay in control of your path. Discipline is another major factor in staying focused. There will be days when you feel discouraged, when criticism makes you question yourself, or when motivation is low. But true commitment means showing up and putting in the work, no matter how you feel. Success isn't about perfect circumstances, it's about consistency. The people who achieve their goals aren't necessarily the most talented. They're the ones who refuse to give up when things get tough. Your success depends on your ability to stay focused despite the noise. Criticism will always exist. Doubters will always have something to say, but none of that matters if you're locked in on your vision. The moment you stop seeking validation and start trusting your own path, you become unstoppable. Let criticism be background noise, not a roadblock. Keep your eyes forward, do the work, and stay committed to what truly matters to you. Doubt is something every person faces at some point. It creeps in when you start something new, when you hit a setback, or when someone criticizes your work. It makes you question yourself, your abilities, and whether you're really capable of achieving your goals. The mistake most people make is letting doubt slow them down. They take it as a sign that they're not good enough, that they should wait until they feel more confident, or that maybe they weren't meant to succeed after all. But the truth is, doubt isn't a signal to stop, it's a challenge to overcome. And when you learn how to turn doubt into determination, nothing can hold you back. The first step in shifting doubt into determination is understanding that doubt is completely normal. Every successful person has felt it. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't the presence of doubt, it's how they respond to it. Some people let doubt paralyze them, while others use it as fuel to push forward. If you want to achieve anything meaningful, you have to recognize that doubt is not proof that you can't succeed, it's proof that you're stepping outside your comfort zone. And that's exactly where growth happens. One of the biggest sources of doubt is criticism. When someone questions your abilities or tells you that you're not good enough, it's easy to internalize those words. But instead of seeing criticism as a reason to quit, use it as motivation. Let it fuel you. If someone tells you that you can't do something, prove them wrong, not by arguing or seeking validation, but by putting in the work. The greatest success stories are built on moments of doubt that were transformed into drive. Athletes who were told they weren't talented enough. Entrepreneurs who were told their ideas would never work. Artists who were rejected over and over again. What separates them from everyone else is that they didn't accept doubt as the final answer. They used it as a reason to work harder, get better, and push past their limitations. Another way to turn doubt into determination is to shift your focus from what you lack to what you can do right now. Doubt thrives on uncertainty. It makes you focus on everything that could go wrong, on every skill you don't have, on every possible failure. But when you flip the perspective and focus on action, doubt loses its power. Instead of worrying about whether you're good enough, ask yourself, what's the next step I can take today? Progress, no matter how small, builds momentum, and momentum destroys doubt. It's also important to remind yourself of past victories. Doubt has a way of making you forget all the times you've overcome challenges before. Think back to moments when you faced something difficult but pushed through anyway. Maybe it was a tough exam, a difficult project, or a personal struggle that you thought you wouldn't get past, but you did. Every time you overcame doubt in the past is proof that you can do it again. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build by proving to yourself over and over that you are capable of handling challenges. Another strategy to stay determined in the face of doubt is to surround yourself with the right influences. Doubt grows when you listen to negative voices, whether from others or from yourself. If you're constantly around people who doubt you, who criticize without offering solutions, or who have given up on their own dreams, their mindset will start to affect yours. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with people who believe in you, who encourage you, and who are also striving for big things, your mindset shifts. Their determination fuels yours. Seek out mentors, communities, or even books and videos that reinforce a mindset of persistence. The final key to turning doubt into determination is embracing failure as part of the process. A lot of doubt comes from the fear of failing. What if I try and it doesn't work? What if people see me fail? But failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey to success. Every setback teaches you something. Every mistake gives you an opportunity to improve, and every failure moves you one step closer to success. The most determined people aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to let failure stop them. Doubt will always be there. It will show up when you start something new, when you face challenges, and when you step outside your comfort zone. But it doesn't have to control you. Instead of letting doubt hold you back, use it as a reason to push forward. Let it remind you that you're on the path to growth. Let it fuel your determination, because the only way to truly fail is to let doubt convince you to stop. Keep going, keep pushing, and prove to yourself that you are stronger than your doubts. Emotional resilience is one of the most powerful skills you can develop when dealing with criticism. No matter what you do in life, there will always be people who have something to say about it. Some will offer constructive feedback, while others will criticize just for the sake of tearing you down. The ability to handle that criticism without letting it shake your confidence or control your emotions is what separates those who succeed from those who let negativity stop them. Emotional resilience isn't about ignoring criticism or pretending it doesn't affect you. It's about learning to process it in a way that keeps you strong, focused, and moving forward. The first step in building emotional resilience is understanding that criticism is inevitable. If you put yourself out there, take risks, or work towards something meaningful, people will have opinions. This is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're doing something that matters. The only people who never face criticism are the ones who never try. The moment you accept that criticism is part of the journey, it stops feeling like a personal attack and starts feeling like just another challenge to navigate. One of the biggest reasons criticism hurts is that we take it personally. When someone says something negative about our work, our ideas, or even our character, it can feel like a direct attack on who we are. But emotional resilience means separating yourself from the criticism. You are not your mistakes. You are not the negative opinions of others. When you detach your sense of self-worth from the criticism you receive, it loses its power over you. Instead of seeing it as a reflection of your value, you start seeing it as information, something you can evaluate objectively rather than emotionally. Another key aspect of emotional resilience is learning to control your initial reaction. When someone criticizes you, your first instinct might be to get defensive, argue, or shut down, but reacting emotionally gives power to the criticism. Instead, take a deep breath, pause, and choose how you want to respond. Not every criticism requires a response, and not every critic deserves your energy. By training yourself to stay calm in the face of negativity, you protect your peace of mind and maintain control over your emotions. Perspective is also a major factor in emotional resilience. Often we magnify criticism in our minds, making it seem bigger or more damaging than it really is. A single negative comment can feel overwhelming, even when it's just one person's opinion. But when you step back and take a broader view, you realize that criticism is just a small part of the bigger picture. Think about the most successful people in any field: actors, musicians, entrepreneurs, athletes. They all face constant criticism, but they don't let it define them. They focus on their goals, their growth, and the people who support them rather than dwelling on negativity. Building emotional resilience also requires developing a strong inner dialogue. The way you talk to yourself matters. If you let external criticism turn into self-criticism, you make it even harder to stay strong. Instead of repeating negative thoughts like maybe they're right or I'm not good enough, replace them with thoughts that build resilience. Remind yourself of your strengths, your progress, and your ability to overcome challenges. The more you reinforce a positive, confident mindset, the less impact criticism will have on you. Another important part of handling criticism with emotional resilience is knowing whose opinions matter. Not all criticism is valuable, and not all critics have your best interests at heart. If the feedback is coming from someone you respect, someone with experience, knowledge, and genuine advice, you can use it as a learning opportunity. But if it's coming from someone who is always negative, uninformed, or simply trying to bring you down, their words don't deserve your attention. Choose whose feedback you take seriously and whose opinions you let go of. Emotional resilience is also strengthened through experience. The more you face criticism and learn to handle it without letting it break you, the stronger you become. It's like building a muscle. The first few times you deal with negativity, it might feel overwhelming. But over time, as you develop the habit of staying calm, focusing on what matters, and filtering out unhelpful criticism, it becomes second nature. You reach a point where criticism no longer controls your emotions. Instead, you control how you react to it. The core of emotional resilience is a deep belief in yourself. When you truly believe in what you're doing, in your ability to improve, and in your own worth, no amount of criticism can shake you. It may still sting for a moment, but it won't stop you. You'll keep pushing forward, learning, growing, and proving to yourself that you are stronger than negativity. Emotional resilience is what allows you to stay focused, confident, and unshaken in the face of doubt. It's what keeps you going when others would quit, and ultimately, it's what leads to success. At the end of the day, criticism is a part of life. If you're doing anything worth noticing, if you're stepping outside your comfort zone, if you're chasing big goals, people will have opinions. Some will try to help you grow, and others will try to bring you down. But none of that matters as much as how you choose to respond. You can let criticism shake your confidence, slow you down, or make you doubt yourself. Or you can use